Hi, I'm Virginia Spielman. I'm the Associate Director of the Star Institute for Sensory Processing Disorder. And we're just starting a series today on talking about managing challenging behaviours. So I want to just start by thinking about what behaviours really are and how we look at the behaviours of our children. So often we have set goals in therapy and in IEPs at home as parents that are about shaping behaviours. We might want our child to sit still at the table and to be able to complete a short piece of homework. But they can't do it, and so we set a goal. We say, I want my child to be able to sit still for 3 minutes, and then I want them to sit still for 4 minutes, and sit still for 5, and we use timers and prompts and rewards. But when we think like that, sometimes we really miss a lot of valuable information. That behavior of sitting still at the table, that's the tip of the iceberg. And we really want to look lower down and see what's going on underneath the surface and ask the question, why can't this child sit still at the table? What is it, rather than are they just escaping or avoiding or attention seeking, what is it that's causing this difficulty? And then when we start to look at those deeper layers, we get really good information, and we can start to work on the skills that are coming together to cause this behavioral difficulty that we want to deal with. So we might find out that the child has some sensory processing difficulties. Maybe they don't get enough information about where their body is in space, and so sitting still deprives them of that information. Maybe they find it really hard to maintain posture because they have a postural disorder, or maybe there's some other developmental pieces that we need to look at. A lot of our children don't have the emotional and relational development in place that enables these higher skills of sitting still and paying attention and completing homework of actually happening successfully. So when we start to look at their development from a motor point of view, from a functional, emotional and social point of view, we can start to see that actually there's several things contributing to this issue. The foundations for healthy behaviour are where we need to start, and then we can hope to see behavioural goals that are successful, that where it's more pleasurable, it's less of a fight, we're able to support our children, we're on the same side as them, they feel that we're on their team because we're looking at the root, we're looking at the base of the iceberg and not just demanding the tip of the iceberg to be perfect and putting these demands on our children. So let's just think about development and developmental thinking. When we think developmentally, we're not just thinking about those nice motor milestones of crawling, sitting, and so on, standing, walking. There's all sorts of invisible pieces of development. The brain develops so rapidly in the first few years of life, and one of the first developmental pieces that we need to help and support our children with is that ability to be calm, to be alert, to pay attention, to react appropriately to the situations and people around them, not to overreact, not to underreact. And some people call that regulation. We like to call that regulation, self-regulation. Some people call it sensory modulation. This is this first capacity, kind of a cornerstone for all the other areas. And if that's fragile, if it's subject to stress, if it's not developed well, then sitting still at a table and doing 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 15 minutes of homework is going to be almost an impossible task. But we deal with the regulation piece, we practice that, we get an occupational therapist involved, we look at the sensory challenges, and we start to set our children up for success. And then they naturally can stay at the table for longer because they can be calm, they can be alert, and they can pay attention. They're not overreacting, they're not underreacting, they're not seeking sensation. And then we start to think about our children's ability to engage, to communicate purposefully, to engage in two-way communication, all the while staying regulated, staying calm, staying available, and responding appropriately to what's going on. When we can think like this and think developmentally in this way, and that does require some support so that we're getting things right for the right ages of our children, then we just can set them up for much greater success. Our IEP goals and our way of getting there is going to be much more robust and holistic. We're going to be looking at the whole child, and we're going to find that what we do at home, in the classroom or the workplace and at school, is more successful overall and generalizes faster. That what we do in the clinic, actually we start to hear from the teachers, wow, spontaneously this has started to improve, handwriting's better, this child's working better in a group, because we're working on that base of the iceberg. We're looking at those invisible disabilities or invisible functional emotional pieces, and we're helping to put those together with what's going on from a sensory perspective and so on. So that's where we're going to go with this. These are the glasses that we want to put on so that we're thinking about things a little bit differently. And we're really asking why. What is this challenging behavior telling us? It's a manifestation of something going on lower down. What's happening? Let's unpack that as a team of professionals, parents and educators, and then support this child for success.